Hello, Michelle.
Hi.
Good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So, how about we start just by you telling us a little bit about the work?
This work is actually quite funny that they decided to pick these ones. Because they're actually rather old now. They're five years ago, actually. Yeah.
And this was whilst you were still at art school. You were making this.
Yeah, it was at the Edinburgh College of Art.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there is, in a certain extent, that sort of, naivety in them. They're very, they were almost improvised at the time, actually. I wouldn't think that they would have been so durable, but I guess it's that funniness that maybe makes them appealing. It's just 3 videos with the central one, called Still Life, is kind of the one that unites them together, because the other ones are kind of subsidiary to the main one. They just express kind of like thought and pattern in everyday life through actions, really, in my opinion.
Yes, and you were making these work at a particularly politically charged time. If 5 years ago was a particularly tumultuous time in Scotland, due to Brexit negotiations and such like that. So how do you feel like that is expressed in the work?
I feel like, obviously these things were incredibly important, and I was thinking about them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in that kind of like 3-partness of it, the kind of element is there, there's a certain discontinuity in what's happening, and there's a kind of like awkwardness which seems, to translate as kind of worry almost. Although explicitly, it was not my intention to have them politically, received, but sometimes it's impossible to separate the two in a way,
Perhaps that is why they're so durable after all this time.
Perhaps.
I'd like to start by asking what prompted you to make this series.
So I was thinking a lot about movement, and looking at feminist movement artists like 60s performance, Trisha Brown, for example, and I just wanted to make my own rendition of it, and explore the space in which the art college existed at the time. That there'd been I remember that year being awful because there'd been massive reforms within the structure of the college, and there was a lot of unrest in a way about what was happening, and
this was all before the fire.
Yeah.
Tragic fire.
Yeah, definitely. It was all before the fire. It's unfortunate that it happened to Edinburgh as well. And actually it wasn't during my time at university. It was the summer just after I graduated that it happened, which is, you'd think they'd learn from one projector to have another really similar case, but looking back now, you can very easily put some meanings into the piece that maybe at the time I wasn't thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what is your process? How did you go about making these works? I mean, I can see that the centerpiece is shot in landscape, as the other two are shot in portrait. Very evocative of a kind of phone style recording.
Yeah.
I remember the iPhone being big at that time was kind of art recording device, and I wondered, how was the process of making these works?
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail on the head there, basically. The diptych within the triptych, as is and as if, they were definitely recorded on an iPhone. I think it was the iPhone 6 back then. I can't really remember,